Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to the fourth day of Oral Cancer E-Conclave organized by Icon Sterling Cancer Hospital and FHNO, Foundation for Head and Neck Oncology. We are on the fourth day. In the last three sessions, we have had prolific discussions about challenges of diagnosing an oral lesion, about the early oral cancers, about locally advanced cancers. We saw about the treatment. We saw how beautifully the panel discussion gave solutions to very challenging cases. And here we are today on the fourth session where we're going to discuss and talk about the rehabilitation and follow-up of the oral cancer patients.
And now we come to the next topic, equally important, and rather I feel is the most important thing that the patients are always complaining, an important issue for quality of life, xerostomia. For this session, I'll invite our chairperson, Dr. Rajendra, who is professor and head of Kotwal Dental College and Research Center. And the speaker is Dr. Vandana Shah, again from Sumandeep Vidyapeeth University, professor and head. So over to Dr. Vandana Shah and Dr. Rajendra. Dr. Vandana?
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Very good evening, everyone here. These have been really wonderful, very inspiring, encouraging, and motivating presentations so far. And I'm really happy that I'm here. Thank you. I would like to thank at the outset the organizers of the Oral Cancer E-Conclave for allowing me to be here presenting on this small topic of xerostomia. Greetings from KM Shah Dental College and Hospital, Sumandeep Vidyapeeth, Vadodara, Gujarat. I'm professor and head Department of Oral Pathology and Microbiology at KM Shah Dental College. Very rightly said by Dr. Reena, oral cancer is probably the second most common cancer in India. We are going through this COVID pandemic right now, but oral cancer has never stopped being here. And we all know tobacco is the most common culprit, very common culprit. So yes, everyone should be a tobacco cessation interventionist, and everybody should be trained in that. That's very important. Now, one important point, we all as probably dental surgeons have come across patients with oral cancer, maybe undergoing treatment for oral cancer or post oral cancer radiation or chemotherapy, post surgery chemoradiotherapy. I'm sure most of us have come across those patients, and we all need to learn, we all should be aware of how to manage those patients. So in brief, the xerostomia, we all know, it is basically dry mouth, which results from a reduced or absent salivary flow. It is in itself not a disease, but it is a symptom which can be due to lot of conditions. Lot of drugs can cause xerostomia, lot of medical conditions that can lead to xerostomia, as well as it is a side effect of the radiation and chemoradiotherapy post head and neck surgery, oral cancer surgery. Now, this common long-term side effect of the radiation or chemotherapy is a result basically of the damage to the salivary glands. Patients experiencing xerostomia usually show an increased predisposition to infections. Now, what happens with xerostomia is the normal bacterial flora of the oral cavity, it turns against the oral cavity. It becomes pathogen, which is the normal commensal in the oral cavity, it becomes a pathogen. So the most common mucositis or the oral ulcerations which patients see because patients have because of the as a side effect of the chemo or radiotherapy, these normal commensals of the oral cavity, they cause oral infections. And the oral ulcerations which develop, they become the nidus for the invasion of the organisms and even opportunistic fungal infections like Candida. It becomes more common with xerostomia. Now, the magnitude of xerostomia is dose dependent. So, in short, as the dose of the radiation increases, the uh, salivary function decreases because the damage to the glands increases. Hence, the salivary flow decreases. Now, xerostomia, because of the radiation therapy or chemotherapy, over a long period of time does revert back, but many a times it can be permanent. And xerostomia, we know, adversely impacts the quality of life. Now, there are multiple maneuvers which are important for patient management for the patient with xerostomia. If you have to manage a patient with xerostomia, there are multiple things that need to be done, multiple managements that can be implemented. Some degree of xerostomia, we all know that it is expected from all the patients, in all the patients. Patients themselves, in absence of clinicians, can develop some habits which can reduce xerostomia. One important thing is the dietary change. From dry, rough food, patient can shift to soft, moist foods which are easily digestible, and foods, juices and all, which can improve the nutritional status and eventually the quality of life. Also, the use of room humidifiers, they can increase the moisture and hence moisture in the oral cavity. They can provide benefit to a certain extent, not a very large extent, but they can still have help. And these are the things which patients themselves can change so that in their lifestyle, so that they can reduce the xerostomia to certain extent. There are salivary substitute and mucosal lubricants which are available commercially. Artificial saliva, which contains maybe high-tellose or high-prolose or carmelose, which can relieve the discomfort of xerostomia by, they basically wet the oral cavity, right? These agents temporarily relieve the xerostomia. In spite of these substitutes, the patient needs to sip water regularly at small intervals. Of course, this has its own side effects and this can lead to secondary problems. We know that your continuous sipping of water, patient might have nocturia, might have to pass urine middle every sometime in the night, and that becomes discomfort. So there are problems which do occur because of these, as a side effect of these things. But eventually, these are the things which a patient will definitely have to take lifelong, because xerostomia can be a lifelong problem. Stimulation of the existing salivary flow. Various gustatory, tactile, or pharmacologic agents have been used to stimulate the salivary flow. There is bound to be residual salivary gland tissue after radiation or chemoradiotherapy. And there are agents which can lead to increase in salivary flow, which can help us increase the salivary flow. Now, the non-pharmacological stimuli, mainly acidic and bitter substances, they are more effective at stimulating the saliva. Sweet substances like sugar-free candies and all, we tend to prescribe chewing gums to patients. But if we tend to prescribe, slightly salty or acidic fluids, or slightly, mint flavored or those kind of chewing gums, they tend to increase the salivary flow more than the sweet tasting substances. Sugarless chewing gums can add to both gustatory as well as tactile stimulants to the salivary flow. Pharmacological stimuli, they are mainly parasympathomimetic drugs that target the M3 muscarinic receptors in the salivary glands, and they increase the production of saliva by this residual parenchyma. Okay, the most common is pilocarpine. Pilocarpine is extensively used as a drug for increasing salivation post radiation therapy, the treating of xerostomia. Sevimline is one drug which is also used, and Sevimline has the advantage of reducing the side effects which are caused by pilocarpine. Pilocarpine, it is a continuous treatment. The dosage is maybe 2.5 milligram 3 times per day, and the patient might need to take this treatment for 2 weeks for the effect to come. So it's a very long treatment span, and pilocarpine also may be needed to be given lifetime. There are a lot of side effects which are caused by pilocarpine. It causes generalized stimulation of the parasympathomimetic area. So it results in increased sweating, headaches, tachycardia, hypertension, flushing, etc. And it is also contraindicated in patients with uncontrolled asthma, hypersensitivity to pilocarpine, etc. And so Sevillime, it is an acetylcholine analog. It also has an affinity for M3 muscarinic receptors of the salivary gland, but because it does not have the affinity for M2 muscarinic receptors, it has advantage. The side effects of pilocarpine are reduced. Hence, it can be used as an advantage over pilocarpine in the treatment, pharmacologic treatment of xerostomia. Xerostomia can also be managed by acupuncture. There are small studies in randomized clinical trials in acupuncture. Acupuncture has also been used as a palliative treatment for patients with xerostomia. Some little bit, but then larger studies are not there to, for sure, substantiate acupuncture as a treatment for xerostomia. Hyperbaric oxygen also may have a beneficial effect on xerostomia, but it is a very preliminary evidence. There are small number of studies which have suggested that hyperbaric oxygen can be used for treatment of xerostomia. A very small study of 80 patients where 45 patients had hyposalivation. 30 weeks, 30 sessions of hyperbaric oxygen, patient self-assessment said that unstimulated and stimulated salivary flow rates had increased in all these patients. But however, hyperbaric oxygen also needs larger and larger population studies and more studies to substantiate its effect. To summarize and emphasize the role of a dental surgeon, we all know that the recent advances in cancer therapy, because of the recent advances, there is an increase in the survival rate of these oral cancer patients, which definitely underscores the need for these patients to maintain optimal oral health. So maintaining of oral health is very important. Oral assessment, implementation of basic oral care protocols before, during, and after cancer therapy is very important, and the clinicians should be vigilant in recognizing the oral complications occurring because of the radiation or the chemotherapy post therapy in cancer patients. In this light, the dental team plays an important role in providing treatment to these cancer patients as a comprehensive oral care, right from diagnosis. As the patient is diagnosed, we all know that dental professionals are the first point of contact with the patients who have oral cancer. We are the ones who can very well diagnose a non-healing ulcer suspected at oral cancer and refer it, maybe do a biopsy, get the confirmed, and refer it to a cancer hospital. And we can be instrumental in helping right from diagnosis, during treatment, post-treatment also. So we need to understand our major role in that. Basic oral care for patients with cancer includes preventing infection, because we all know post-radiation therapy patient can have osteoradionecrosis if there is any infection, and which can be fatal. Treating active infection becomes very important. Controlling pain, maintaining oral function, moisture of the oral mucosa, managing complications, and thus improving the quality of life. Patient education is an integral part of the pre-treatment evaluation of oral cancer. And here also, dental surgeons can play a very important role by counseling the patient on performing effective self-care for oral health. The patient should be educated so that they understand the importance of maintaining their oral hygiene before cancer therapy, during the therapy, and post cancer therapy. Adopting healthy dietary habits. Dental surgeons can also counsel them on adopting healthy dietary habits, as well as avoiding tobacco and alcohol use. So, with this, I've shared a little bit of information and overview on the management of xerostomia. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana. You seem to have covered all the aspects of xerostomia from basics to advanced, and a lot of take homes for all of us. And I will now request Dr. Patel is here, our chairperson for the session, to give his expert comments.
Very good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate this team for conducting such elaborate scientific session, and Dr. Vandana Shah, Professor and Head, Department of Oral Pathology, Sumandeep Vidyapeeth University. She has elaborately covered the various aspects of xerostomia. Here I would like to quote Lord Benjamin Franklin. What he used to say was, when the wells and rivers dry, we will know the worth of the water. So I call xerostomia as the drought of the mouth. Whenever any country suffers this drought, then the country will suffer. And then along with that suffering emerges famine. Because the life or food grows where the water flows. So similarly, we can correlate this nature with our own body system. So it is such an important subject, but often it is overlooked. I, being from the specialty of oral medicine and radiology, come across many patients regular basis. We see number of patients with xerostomia rather than hyperstomia or hyper salivation. So this has to be emphasized. There are so many drugs which can cause xerostomia, like there are categorized some 48 class of drugs which can produce xerostomia, and over 400 drugs which can cause xerostomia. And there are so many diseases which can cause xerostomia, like Sjogren's syndrome, amyloidosis, sarcoidosis, diabetes mellitus, to name few, which are very common. And there are some diseases which are related to HIV. They are again causing xerostomia, HIV-related salivary gland disease. And apart from this, what we are discussing today is about the cancer and its related xerostomia. Why xerostomia happens in cancer patients? It's not because of cancer. It is mainly due to the treatment what the patient is initiated to, like xerostomia develops after radiotherapy, and some chemotherapeutic agents also will cause xerostomia. And the real challenge is treating these, because in the other part, like what I told, some medicine can be altered, and you can correct and they are most of the times they are temporary. The xerostomia remains for a temporary period. But whereas in cancer undergoing patients who are undergoing cancer treatment, when they suffer with xerostomia, usually it becomes permanent in the long run, because for the simple reason, when radiation affects the tissues, so it causes fibrosis and atrophy of the glands. So whatever you give, the salivary stimulants won't affect that much. You have to only depend on salivary substitutes, like what Madam was telling. Salivary substitutes like salivary methyl cellulose or hydromethoxy cellulose. So these things are often used, and then they are of help, and then the consequences of xerostomia are also many in cancer patients. As you see, there is increased increased number of caries index. There is increased fungal infections or opportunistic infections. There is loss of taste. The patient cannot enjoy the food what he used to enjoy in the past, and there are so many other consequences which we all know. Talking becomes difficult, speaking difficult. So